Should Joe Paterno's legacy be tarnished by the Sandusky sex scandal? I don't think so.
Hell yeah. I think Joe Paterno's legacy should be tarnished by this Jerry Sandusky deal.
We're back live again, sports fans, with another episode of Say That Shit. Real talk from a fan's perspective. I'm Nell.
I'm JB.
Look, we're going to get into something a little off kilter today. We normally talk about our hometown Saints, but I think right now we want to talk about a nationally covered topic that I think has everybody up in arms, and that's the Joe Paterno scandal. Joe Paterno died, and we know he got buried today, which is a sad situation. He's a longtime coach of Penn State Nittany Lions. I got a lot of respect for the coach, but there's some issues that JB and I want to talk about from our perspective to give the fans our spin on it, what we have to say about the whole situation, because I think even in the media, most times they covering situations like this, but they're not really being real about what they want to say. They can't say it the way they want to say it, but guess what? We can. So I'm gonna get right into it, JB. What do you think Joe Pa's legacy should be? With this scandal, now he's dead. You think he should be? He should give all the bells and whistles and go out on top, or you think he's going to be tarnished?
I don't think he should get all the bells and whistles. I think he should get respect for what he did for Penn State. I think he should get respect for what he did on the football field with the players and the players that played for him. Right. On the other hand, I think that his legacy is definitely tarnished, because I feel personally that he had a hand in what happened with Jerry Sandusky. I don't think that I don't think that he went out and molested boys. I don't think he sanctioned it directly, but I think indirectly he did, because he didn't take action years ago. You think he knew he was fucking them little boys? I don't think he knew, but I think he knew that at some point something was going on, something was fishy. Right. And I think that he didn't follow up on it. I think that he closed his eyes to it, because he did not want to get involved with it, because he knew that it was going to, sort of create a windstorm in the media. If he would have opened up, that bag of, that bag of uncertainty. So I think that he kind of turned his back on it, knowing that was a situation maybe he should have looked into a little further. So I definitely think that his legacy should have an asterisk by it, because of the fact that he had a friend and associate that was with him for over 23 years, and he did not do more to get to know what this man was doing with these young boys.
I disagree, man. I think he should go out with all the bells and whistles. I think this guy coached for a long time. I think that he did what he was supposed to do. Everybody wanted him to create these miracles and make shit happen. I think he was the head coach, but he had a chain of command, JB. In this fucking world, in this world today, I've been in the military before. You got a chain of command. You just can't go above your bosses and say shit and just report shit without losing your fucking job.
Man, but when you got molestation, fondling, and outright disrespect for young kids and boys, you have to take it a step further. I don't care nothing about chain of command. Yes.
So why his bosses not taking the brunt of this fucking storm? I mean, let's talk about the situation right quick. Sandusky he gets caught by Mike McQuarrie with slapping sounds. That means he's fucking. All right, it's a sexual act going on.
Yes.
First, he should have beat his fucking ass. Yes. That's what I would have done.
Yes.
But I'm going to take it to the next step. The guy left distraught. He didn't stop the act. So that my fucking problem is with McQuarrie. Then he calls his dad. He goes talk to his dad. His dad directs him to go to Joe Paterno. Joe Paterno welcomes him to the home on Saturday. They sit in the kitchen. They have a discussion and say there was some sexual acts happening. That very next day, which was Sunday, Joe Paterno reported this fucking situation to his boss, which was AD Tim Curley. We don't know what Tim Curley told this man, told Paterno at that time. He could have said, "Look, we're gonna handle it. I'm gonna report this to the president, and we're gonna deal with this situation."
Well, that's obviously what they said.
Well, and the fucking coach, though, as his job is to be in a coach, his job is not finished with it, JB. I think he should have followed up a little bit more, but we don't know what the fucking people told him. They could have told him leave it alone, or your job would be in jeopardy. Well, so what do you do with that?
I would say my job would just have to be in jeopardy, because Mike McQuarrie has no reason to come to me and make up a story about molestation of kids in a locker room. And after it was all said and done, this is the problem that I have with Joe Paterno. After all this information came out, the AD and the senior vice president and the president of the university, guess what they decided to do? They decided to sweep this under the carpet and tell Jerry Sandusky bitch ass, don't return to the locker room anymore and do a horseplay with young boys. To me, that was a slap on the wrist. And to me, if I was the big man on campus, Joe Paterno, who is the public going to believe? The AD? The vice president? The president? Or are they going to believe me when I say that something went on unsanctioned in the locker room and that there was a problem? I think the public would have sided with Joe Paterno. I think Joe Paterno would have came out with a clean slate. I think personally he turned his back to the situation. Yeah, he went to his superiors, but after it came out that there's nothing that was being done to prevent this from going on, and at the same time when you're hearing things going on in the locker room with two an older man and a young boy, you have to know that there's something going on. There's something going on here, and it has to be followed up on. So I don't want to hear anything about he reported it to his superiors and he didn't have to follow up on it because they were going to handle it. Once he reported it to his superiors and they did not handle it, that's where I think he should have stepped in. And I think that's the problem that Joe Paterno is going to have with his legacy.
So what is this? What is the fucking guys that he reported this? Why are they not taking the brunt of this storm? I mean, it seems like they have just gone off into their next fucking career or whatever, and they're not taking the whole. What happened to Curly? Where the fuck is Schultz? Where is Graham Spaniel? Why in the fuck they're not taking the brunt of this shit? Why is Joe Pa solely responsible for this incident?
Joe Pa is not solely responsible. Well, there's a collective here. There's a collective. Mike McCurry, as you said, should have whooped ass.
He should have whooped his ass. When it first
went down. When he went back and told Joe Paterno should have turned around and called Jerry Sandusky and whipped his ass before he went to
But if there's a friend of yours of 23 fucking years and you say, look, this is what the guy reported to me last night. What do you have to say to this? What if Sandusky told him, Joe, you've known me a long time. I didn't do this shit. How would you handle that, JB? Don't you think you, as a friend of that all the many years, you'd be like, you know what due process need to take place. I need to see some proof or whatever. How would you handle that?
You know what I would have told him? You know what I would have told him? You know we're friends, right?
Right.
What you doing butt naked with a 10-year-old boy in the locker room?
I don't mean
That's
to laugh.
what I want to know.
I don't mean to laugh, but
that's what I want to know.
You're right.
This man is hearing slapping noises. He's telling me that you got a young boy up against the wall. Explain that. Explain that.
I have to agree with you.
Joe Paterno didn't want to talk to Jerry Sandusky because he didn't want to hear an excuse.
Well, we don't know whether he did or didn't. We don't know if he did or didn't. I mean, we don't know that for sure. We don't know who talked to who, but what we do know is what's been reported, just like everybody else.
If he did talk to him, it's a travesty.
It's a travesty across the board. I hope this motherfucker suffers.
He's gonna suffer
for what he did to these.
He's gonna get his issue when he gets to jail.
But back to the topic. This man's dead right now. He can no longer speak for himself. The grand jury testimonies that he was supposed to do moving forward is not going to happen. His legacy, I don't feel he should be tarnished to that extent because I don't feel he did it. Maybe he didn't do it, but it's people feel like he's responsible.
Indirectly, he indirectly share some of the blame for this situation.
Guy's entire fucking career has been a career of integrity, JB. That's what I'm saying. And this one act ruins his whole motherfucking legacy.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Let me tell you why it ruins his whole legacy. Because it has the appearance of a cover-up with young boys.
Okay.
That's why it tarnishes his legacy. That's why, hey, he was a good coach. He did things on the field. But one thing about it, when it came down to them young boys, he did not take a stand for them. And I think he didn't take a stand for him because he was afraid of what would have happened with his friend Jerry Sandusky
and the
University of Penn State.
When you heard him say, I wish I had done more, what do you think he meant by that?
I think he wish he would have went forward with the higher authorities to the police and investigated this situation a little bit more. In hindsight, it's 2020. And I think maybe he was a little, what I'm trying to tell you is I think he was a little afraid of what was going to happen with the media windstorm. Nobody can tell me that he wasn't afraid of that, and he caved
Everybody was afraid of that.
He caved into that pressure when he shouldn't have, because he was Joe Paterno, because he was the face of the organization. He was the face of Penn State, and that's why I think that, hey, he was a great coach, but when you mention Joe Paterno, you have to say, hey, he did not directly sanction the abuse of young boys, but he had to contribute to it indirectly in a way because Jerry Sandusky continued this years after that infamous locker room episode.
I agree, man. You know, with that being said, I don't think we could say it much better than that. So I'm gonna leave it at that and say, Joe Paterno, rest in peace. I think we've said that shit. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Say That Shit, real talk from a fan's perspective. Look, do not forget to hit us up on Twitter at SayDatShit1 at Twitter or at SayDatShit@gmail.com. Anytime you think of a sports topic that you want us to cover, JB and I to debate on the show, please send your comments to one of those sites so we can know what you're thinking about. But until next time, we want to say that shit and peace out.